All right, so today we're digging into a piece of literature that is, well, it's ancient, but it feels completely explosive.
It really does.
We're doing a deep dive into Athanasius of Alexandria's 4th century work, On the Incarnation,
Mm-hmm.
and we're really trying to unpack its central, maybe even shocking question. Why did God become truly human? To live, to suffer, and to die.
And you have to remember the context here. This was written at a real pressure point in history.
Right.
Christianity was still figuring itself out. And the big question, the one that could break everything was Jesus just a great moral teacher, or was he actually God?
And Athanasius comes in and says,
He says he has to be both, fully God and fully human. He saw that if that wasn't true, the entire project of salvation it falls apart.
that really sets the stage for what he calls the divine dilemma. He starts with the problem. Humanity was made for life, for union with God, but sin brought in something much worse than just bad behavior.
Exactly. It brought corruption. For Athanasius, this isn't about, breaking a rule here or there. It's an ontological decay.
Ontological.
Yes.
So a decay in our very being.
Yes. A systematic breakdown of what it means to be human. We were literally turning back to dust, heading towards nothingness.
Wow. Okay, so that creates this huge conflict for God then.
A massive one. If he just ignores it, he's not just. He's violating his own cosmic order.
But if he just destroys humanity,
Then he's not loving. He'd be abandoning the very creatures he made for life. It's an impossible choice.
so he finds a third way.
He enters the story himself. The classic analogy is that of a priceless painting.
Oh, I love this one.
Been damaged, right. But not just a scratch on the surface. The canvas itself is rotting away.
You don't just send a manual on how to fix it.
Exactly. And you certainly don't send a cheap copy to replace it. The original artist, the master himself, has to step in and restore the masterpiece from the very substance of its being.
Okay, so this idea of restoration is key,
Hmm.
which leads us to the next point, that this isn't just about forgiveness.
This is where Athanasius really shifts the whole conversation. People were arguing that a legal pardon, God just saying you're forgiven, should be enough.
But why wasn't it? I mean, if God just wipes the slate clean, isn't the problem solved?
It solves the legal problem, sure, but it doesn't fix the decay. Your nature is still corrupted. You're still destined to die. You're still incapable of that union with God you were made for. Athanasius is saying salvation has to be transformational, not just transactional.
It's like a phone that's got a virus deep in its operating system.
That's a perfect modern analogy.
Deleting a few infected files isn't going to fix it. The core system is broken.
You need a full system restore, and for Athanasius, Christ is that restore. He takes on our human nature to reverse the corruption from the inside out.
Which brings us to the cross. Why? Why that? Why such a violent public death? If the goal is restoration, why not just live a perfect life and then ascend?
Because death was the ultimate enemy. It was the tyrant holding humanity captive.
So it had to be confronted directly.
And publicly. It couldn't be a secret. Christ had to take death on fully, walk right into its territory.
And break its power from within.
Exactly. The cross wasn't just a moral lesson, it was a cosmic battle. The champion of life defeating the tyrant of non-existence and doing it where everyone could see.
And that gives so much weight to his famous line, "He became what we are."
So that we might become what he is. It's not just a nice phrase. It's a complete, radical exchange. A total transformation of our nature.
And thinking about this today, it's amazing how this ancient text still speaks so powerfully. For anyone wrestling with suffering or, wondering if faith can be intellectually coherent.
It really does. It presents a worldview that's incredibly hopeful, built not on just avoiding punishment, but on the profound promise of renewal.
So this dive into On the Incarnation really reminds us that the core of the Christian story isn't about escaping our humanity. It's about God entering into it to redeem it.
To restore it completely.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you. How does viewing your own personal struggles, not just through the lens of needing forgiveness, but through this lens of needing a full system restore, a deep ontological renewal, how does that change your approach to the life you're living right now?